several key features in it that will allow you to control how much time we want to acquire and what portion of that acquisition we want to analyze. To decode this signal as low duty cycle and bursty, I'm going to turn on a simple power trigger at about minus 55 dBm or so to ensure that we're capturing data when that transmitter is turned on. The time overview display shows us RF amplitude versus time over whatever we've got set up for the acquisition bandwidth. In this case, we're looking at a 10 megahertz span centered at 1.92 gigahertz, which is where this the cell phone is transmitting. The time overview display has several features that allow us to control how much time we want to record and what portion we want to analyze. The colored bars, the red bar is called the spectrum time, and that's where the spectrum measurement that's being shown down here is being measured. So we can see that spectrum time is centered right over the rising edge of this RF burst. The blue bar is our analysis region, and for any time domain analysis, it's going to show us over what period of time we're making that analysis. Each of these regions can be controlled by selecting the region from the drop-down box here and adjusting the offset or the length. The offset tells us where that region begins with respect to the trigger, which we can see down here with the little red T. And the length simply tells us how long that bar is. We can actually adjust that by typing in new numbers in this area here, or by simply mousing over the edges of the curves. Then we could click and drag this edge here, we're essentially dragging the length. And if I click and drag on the left edge, it adjusts the offset value. For example, if I wanted to get a 200 microsecond long acquisition, I can just type in 200U, down to 200 microsecond long acquisition here. And if I want to have a little more pre-trigger information, I can simply click and drag that edge over and grab a little more pre-trigger information here if I wanted to do so. So now what this analysis region defines is for any display that we bring up, whether it's a modulation analysis, or in this case a frequency deviation versus time, it shows us over what portion of our acquisition we're going to be making that measurement. In this case here, we're grabbing some data before the burst happens, and then encompassing the entire burst, and then after the burst. Versus time is that when that burst comes up, we can actually see the FSK, or binary frequency shift keying modulation, that's contained in that burst. Of course, we can zoom in on that and actually get a better picture of what that binary FSK modulation looks like. If I right-click and add a marker, those markers appear in every single display, and everything is time and frequency correlated. So if I move that marker back and forth in time, in this frequency deviation versus time plot, I can also see it moving in the time overview display to show me where I am in that particular burst versus time. I'm going to right-click and clear the markers just to make the displays a little bit cleaner here. Now, the spectrum time works in a very similar way, but there is one more little bit of a twist. The offset certainly tells us where the spectrum measurement begins. But the spectrum length, you notice that the text for that right here is italicized. Italicized text in this application tells us that value is coupled to something that was set by something else. In this case, the spectrum length is actually driven by the resolution bandwidth that you asked for in the spectrum analysis. So if I change the resolution, that's right. If I decrease or increase the resolution bandwidth to say 200 kilohertz, notice that the spectrum length has decreased. And this is just driven by the mathematics of doing the discrete Fourier transform to compute the spectrum. So the next question might be, what happens if I manually make the spectrum length longer? Let's go drag that longer across this entire burst. Let's talk about what happens. Now, obviously, the longer spectrum length would allow me to have a narrower resolution bandwidth, but I still have 100 kRDW. So what happens when I make the spectrum length longer is it will compute multiple spectrums. In this case, we had about a 22 microsecond long spectrum length. So what it will do is compute multiple discrete Fourier transforms and give me a number of spectrum results. And what it does then is it pass each of those spectrum trace results through whatever trace detector we have selected. In this case, we have a positive peak trace detector. So we're going to take those multiple spectrums that were computed across this acquisition, pass each of them through that positive peak detect, and this shows me now the positive peak detect result of those multiple spectrum traces that were computed across that acquisition. You can kind of see this, the noise floor here is now kind of more like a peak detected noise floor. If I return the spectrum length back to the model coupled value, we do that by selecting it, take the backspace key to delete, and hit enter. And when I do that, take a look at how the noise floor looks on the spectrum. You can see now that I've got a little bit more variation in the noise floor because this is just one computation that's occurring now, and not a peak detected version of multiple spectrum computations. Of course, we can move the spectrum anywhere we want in the acquisition, and we can see at this point within the burst, that's what the spectrum looks like. If I move further along in the burst, you'll see the spectrum has a different shape to it, and that's all because the modulation is changing throughout that burst. So we're going to get a change in what the spectrum of the signal looks like throughout that burst. So another way to look at spectral changes over time is to bring up a display called a spectrogram or waterfall display. This display really combines looking at both time domain and frequency domain at the same time. So I'm going to pause things here so we can talk about what's happening. Now, in the spectrogram, you see these tick marks over here on the right-hand side. Those tick marks are indications that I've got a break in time. And what they're really showing is that I've got multiple acquisitions in memory. You see the blue bar right down here? That corresponds to the most recent acquisition that's indicated by this blue bar here. All the other spectrums that we see in this waterfall display are actually from prior acquisitions. This waterfall display essentially has the same x-axis as the spectrum analyzer, same center frequency and span, but the vertical axis is time. We can actually see this time per division value up here. That time per division value refers to the time between the tick marks on the left side of this display. And we can actually reduce that to kind of stretch out what we're seeing in the spectrogram. So now I can see just the first couple of acquisitions here, the most recent one. Each row of pixels in the spectrogram is essentially a spectrum trace. In fact, if we add a marker in here, wherever that marker appears, we can yank that particular spectrum trace out of this display and show it to you down here, in this case as a red trace. If I drag that marker through in time, you can actually see how the spectrum changes over time. And again, you see that the marker correlated in all of the other displays. At the very beginning of the burst, where we have this very fast FSK, you actually see the spectrum actually has a distinctly different shape. Where if we drag that marker later in the burst, where the data is a bit more random, the spectrum shape is a bit more rounded off. So then you can actually see the spectral shape versus the modulation versus the amplitude versus time, all in the same set of displays. When I reduced the time per division on the spectrogram, what we effectively did is change the amount of overlap of the consecutive discrete Fourier transforms that were taken to build up this waterfall or spectrograph display. So rather than incrementing over 22 microseconds and 22 microseconds and 22 microseconds to get multiple spectrums, we're overlapping those. And the amount we're overlapping is indicated right up here. In this case, 91%. So what that means is I compute a spectrum here, that goes into the spectrogram, but I'm only moving over about 9% and doing it again. So I'm getting kind of sliding at that key to build up these spectrums over time. So the spectrogram is a bit unique because it not only uses the spectrum length, because it shows you what the spectrum length is for each of the spectrums computed here, but also uses the analysis time to show me over what period of time we're going to compute those multiple spectrums. So the marker here is active in both displays. So if I move the marker back and forth in frequency, we can see it moving back and forth in frequency on the spectrum displays on the DPX and the spectrum displays on the lower right-hand corner. And as I move it up and down in time, we can see that moving in the time domain axis. So the time overview display also allows you to link both the analysis and spectrum length together into just one controller. I generally don't use that because I like to know what my spectrum length is and how many spectrums are being computed. But you certainly could link those together and have everything kind of controlled just by one set of offset and length controls. So I think this video helps you to understand a little bit better on how to use the time overview display to control how much time we want to require, what portion of that we want to analyze in the time domain and the frequency domain, and how all of those things relate to the other displays that we can bring up in the real-time spectrum analyzer display. So thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. And thanks again for watching. In this video, we'll take a look at how to capture and analyze some frequency hopping signals using a technique that I like to call capture wide and analyze narrow. We look at spectrometers at say 3 or 6 feet, and instead of putting the first one acquisition bandwidth. So right now we're centered, as you can see down here, at 2.42 gigahertz. So this is we're looking at the lower 40 megahertz track of the 2.4 gigahertz SendBand. And an antenna sitting right next to my iPad, which is a Bluetooth discovery node. So these bursts that we're seeing are actually Bluetooth signals. And they're a good example of some narrowband frequency hopping signals. And we could put an actual trace out here that essentially presents the envelope of what's going on in the RF domain. So we get a much better view of what's really going on live than bringing up the DPX or real-time spectrum display, which shows tens of thousands of spectrum measurements a second instead of 30 or 40 spectrum measurements a second. And in doing that, we can actually see that the bursts are occurring a whole lot more often than the very spectrum analyzer would show you. The DPX display also has a railbed display of its own, called the DPX Overrun. And we put it in a split mode, we can actually watch that DPX Overrun live at the same time. So there's no need for looking out and discovering this. That environment here with a very high probability of intercept and seeing these very short duration signals. So let's to do a capture of this. So turn off the antenna display up here and turn off trace 2 here, clean things up a little bit. And let's go ahead and view displays. I want a time overview display, which will allow you to control how much time I want to report what portion I want to analyze. And then a spectrogram display, and then a display depth. So pop those in here. And then now we're free running. You time overview is showing the amplitude versus time. And since we're free running, not sure that we're going to see that burst occurring here sometimes, and other times not see anything at all. So set up into a second power trigger, so to a trigger. And then our power trigger will allow you to set to minus 40 dB, anywhere within the 40 megahertz bandwidth. Now we'll see the leading edge of papers. So I'm going to change my analysis length here to go and capture some more data over time. So now that analysis length at 100 microseconds, I can see that one of these items is just under 100 microseconds long. And if we keep bumping that up, we go up to, say, 500 microseconds. Now I can actually see I'm capturing sometimes 2 bursts in that same time period. So So we can stop this, for example, and take a look and say, I got the burst here in frequency. In fact, if we add a marker in here, I can move that marker up and down and actually see down in this corner down here, those are the second traces that are snapped in. Using looking at that red trace, you can actually see this frequency over there, this one here, and maybe over here, we'll see another pop up over there. Okay, so this allows us to kind of see what's going on. Like this burst right here in time is this one in frequency. If I move up in time to this point here, this burst here in time is that burst in frequency. Let's set up another interesting display here. I'm going to run this again some more. So I have a frequency versus time. This is kind of like an FMD line. It will show me frequency deviation versus time. And here I can actually see where this is looking over the 40 megahertz span. The center of that is right here in the center. And I can actually see these bursts occurring at the different frequencies. We'll stop this here for a second and take another look at this. Again, everything's time correlated here, so when I move the marker across, I can see the spectrum, I can see where I am the second round, see where I am in the time domain, anywhere within here. So let's take a quick look at one of these hops. Okay, I can right click and say zoom. And let's zoom in vertically and horizontally around this particular signal. Okay. So if I can zoom in vertically a little bit more here, even a little bit more. Maybe I'll pan this over a little bit. You can actually see there's some SSK data on here. So it's pretty noisy. We really can't see what's going on. And the reason for that is because we're still analyzing over the 40 megahertz bandwidth. So what we can do is reduce the bandwidth that we're making the negatives over. So within the frequency versus time settings, we can go to where it says negative bandwidth, like I go to the span, which is 40 megahertz. So I uncheck that box. I was going to use my down arrow to drop that down to say 2 megahertz. Now I make the negative over 2 megahertz. And then, as you can, the analysis is done at the center frequency that we set the analyzer to. Now, we can undo that as well. So I go to the analysis control panel. I'm going to uncheck this box here, which unlocks the center frequency. And then we've got this kind of icon here, display in the center displays. The center bar that was showing vertically, that's showing me what my measurement frequency is. And then the trapezoid down on the bottom shows the negative bandwidth. And then I reduce the negative bandwidth to 2 megahertz. That's showing essentially that 2 megahertz bandwidth filter. I'm going to center that over, let's say over on this hop right now. So let's go over to this hop right here. And center that on this hop and replay the existing data on the auto scale here. Now I can actually see the much clearer display going on here. I'll right click and zoom in again. And we'll just zoom in vertically here. And then zoom in a bit horizontally. And now you can actually see the actual SSK data that is being sent on this particular hop. And that was impossible to see before because of all the noise. We have such a wide analysis bandwidth. So, for example, if I go and move this analysis window now over to this hop over here, which is occurring at different points in time, I'll replay the data there. Now I can actually see that frequency hop over here more clearly. As I zoom in on that horizontally and vertically, very easy to see the SSK data. That was in that particular frequency hop. Now, if I move the marker back into here, I can select my way through that one as well. So this is a technique, again, that I like to call capture wide and analyze narrow, where we can acquire a 40 megahertz block of data that might contain many frequency hops of narrow band signals, so we can do a narrow band analysis very easily. This technique can also be used when doing modulation analysis and things like that. So a very powerful type of technique that is available in all the Tektronix, so real-time spectrum analyzer differentiate from me. So we'll also through the top of the line benchmark instruments. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so. And I look forward to you next time. Thanks again for watching. Just a little update video here. First, I want to thank all of my loyal viewers and subscribers that right around the changing of the year, we surpassed 7 million views on the channel and over 60,000 subscribers. So I'm pretty thankful and humbled to have that kind of attention and viewership on the YouTube channel. So thank you for that. Also, I want to let you know that it'll probably be a few weeks before we'll see a new video on my channel, unfortunately. I broke my ankle last week, so I'm going to be a little bit laid up and unable to get into my basement lab to do some more videos. So all I ask is have some patience and don't go away. We'll be back with more good videos later this year. But I just want to give you an update so that you don't think I've gone away entirely. Thanks again for your support over the last couple of years, and I look forward to bringing some more interesting electronics videos in the future. Take care. In my previous video, I showed how to clean the switch contacts on the sleep range switch of this Kenwood SM220 station monitor. Some of the folks that watched that video made comments that they'd like to understand more about what this device can do in the Ham Radio Shack. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The SM220 is effectively just a very basic oscilloscope, but with added features that make it especially useful in the Ham Radio Shack. One of the most common applications for the SM220 is for a transmit signal monitor. In this case, the transmit signal is routed through the back of the instrument, and the RF signal is fantastically coupled to the vertical deflection plates of the oscilloscope trace. And this allows you to look at the RF envelope of your transmitted signal, such as I'm doing here with a single sideband signal being transmitted into a dummy load. The RF power is represented vertically, and then the horizontal is just representing time, so we can see the RF envelope. Which can be really useful to look for things like flat topping if you overdrive the signal and that type of thing. So it's a good way just to do a quick check to be sure that the transmitter is operating properly. Another common RF monitoring application is the trapezoid function to look at the linearity of a power amplifier. I don't have a power amplifier here to demonstrate, but I'll put a link below to a video that I found on YouTube that shows how to use that function. So essentially the transmitter or exciter is fed through the back of the device as well as the output of the amplifier. And when the monitor is in the trapezoid function, you get waveforms that look like this. This is where the RF output power is represented vertically from the power amplifier, and then the exciter input power is represented horizontally. And ideally, you get this nice linear shape that would indicate a linear output power change versus a linear voltage change at the input. If you do not have things adjusted properly, you can get things like flat topping in the amplifier, or it'll even show things like insufficient grid bias on the way the amplifier is adjusted. One other function that I use quite often is the band scope feature. This is an optional feature and actually requires a module to be installed in the instrument here, and it basically turns the scope into a dedicated spectrum analyzer to look at RF activity across a portion of the intermediate frequency stage of the transceiver. There were two band scope adapters available for the SM220. One that was just designed for the TS500 series, like the 520 and 530, that is used to monitor the 3.395 megahertz IF from that transceiver line. And then the other one for the BS8 is the 8.83 megahertz IF module. And I can look at the 8.83 megahertz IF out of the TS800 series of regular transceivers like the 820 and the 830. I've got this hooked into my TS870 right now, looking at some band activity across the, in this case, the 40 meter band. Now, of course, more modern radios, especially the software-defined radios, have got really nice band adapters with waterfall displays and things like this, but this functionality predated that by 20, 25 years or more. And I simply tune across. You can see how I can move those signals across the screen by tuning through them. As I get each 1% of the stream, you can kind of hear it on the receiver. A couple of strong signals over here. So it's actually a shortwave broadcast signal at 7.36 megahertz. And if you look really back, you listen to the of single sideband signals and things like that across the band here. That guy right there is at 7.160. You can adjust the frequency span that the band adapter is looking at in two steps. You can look at plus or minus 20 kilohertz around the center frequency, or plus or minus 100 kilohertz around the center frequency. And other functions include just your basic oscilloscope functionality. There's a single channel oscilloscope, and I would say it's limited in terms of what it can do because it's not calibrated. There's no calibrated vertical scale here. It's just a variable statically attenuator. There's no attenuation or 1/10 or 1/100, or just simply put it in the monitor mode. So you don't really have a voltage reference unless you apply something else yourself. Similarly, on the horizontal scale, you just have a sweep range. So in this position here, the horizontal sweep range will vary from 10 hertz, if you're going very slowly, to 100 hertz. And then you've got 100 to 1K, 1K to 10K, 10K to 100K. There's no calibrated horizontal time scale. Similarly, there's no trigger input. It's kind of an ejection lock type oscillator that takes a synchronization as a piece of the input signal. It's called a recurrent sweep scope. So limited functionality, but could be used as a basic oscilloscope. You'll notice that the oscillator function also shows a position with what's called RTTY. The scope could be used back in the day for helping to tune in RTTY signals, which were some of the earlier digital modes that were popular and still somewhat popular today. The RTTY mode would also be entered by switching to RTTY over here. And what this does, it puts the scope into XY mode. Again, I don't have an RTTY demodulator here, so I can't demonstrate this feature. But what that would do is the market space signals would be applied to essentially the X and Y inputs. And you get essentially have a cross bananas type of a display when you're properly tuning an RTTY signal. And finally, the scope also includes a two-tone signal generator that is outputted on this 1/8 phono jack here. And it can output a low-level 1 kilohertz tone as well as a low-level 1.575 kilohertz tone, or you can put them out simultaneously. And they're pretty low level. They're designed to be like microphone level, about 5 millivolts or so. And they can be used as test audio sources when you're working on a transmitter, just to kind of get things adjusted right, maybe in an RF, in a audio preamp or something like that. And then the two-tone test can be useful to look at things like linearity of not only the audio chain, but the power amplifier chain. And I've done a video on basic two-tone testing in the past, so I'll put a link for that one down below as well. Yeah, so there you have a basic overview of what the Kenwood SM220 station monitor is all about. Kenwood did make a later version of this called the SM230. It's a little bit larger, a larger rectangular CRT, and also has a band adapter function built in, as opposed to being an optional module that you'd add to the unit. Other radio manufacturers, such as Yaesu and Heathkit, made their own versions of station monitors that have similar functionality. So I hope you enjoyed the video, learned a little something about what the station monitor is all about. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. And tell your friends. I will look for you next time. Thank you. today on the bench, I've got my Kenwood SM220 station monitor. I'm having a little bit of an intermittent issue with the sweep range switch. You see, I just touch it very lightly, and cause the sweep to kind of stop or get slower, and just get very intermittent. And if you play around with the switching, kind of get it to work. That's just kind of a classic, hopefully a classic problem of just dirty switch contacts here. So this should be a quick and easy repair. So I've taken the top and bottom covers off of the unit here, and this is the multi-wafer switch that is connected to the range switch here that seems to be intermittent. And I took both covers off because I wanted to inspect the bottom of the circuit board here to be sure I didn't have any cold or cracked solder joints, so they all seem to be okay. So I think the problem is simply corrosion on the contacts on both sides of these wafers, and that should be a pretty easy fix. The product I'm going to use is the Oxid D5. In fact, it's model number D5S-6T. It's just been around for a long time, does a fantastic job of breaking up oxidation and dirt and things like that on switch contacts like this. Now, this application, I could just spray it onto the contacts here and work the switch, but I don't want to get it all over the circuit board. So I'm going to spray it onto this little lint-free applicator and then wipe it on the contacts and treat it that way. Okay, so I've got it on the applicator here. I'm just going to wipe it down onto the contacts here. I'll run the switch back and forth. And do this for each side of the switch, each set of contacts here. Just spread